Monika Mrówka from Accenture is my next guest. Hello, how are you?
Hi. Good to be here. I'm good.
Well, pleasure is all mine. And before we started our conversation, I saw your debate, and we also talked about a little bit about the AI, basically. And we came to conclusion that for some people, well, it's being considered as a great opportunity, but still AI scares the daylight out of many people. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Okay, so a lot of experts in the field are worried, and for good reasons, because what happens with AI is that we start to code AI. We enable it. We enable it to learn to teach itself, actually, to gain knowledge. We course correct sometimes, but once it's done, we don't really know how it got to its conclusions, and we don't really understand. We can't find within its internal algorithms areas.
Especially when it comes to the right answer, right? And that's probably
exactly
very complex.
So that's what's called the black box. So we're using outcomes of AI, which are great and beneficial to everyone, but we don't yet know how it actually functions inside. And that's the scary bit. And if we also add to it the layer of kind of, you know, philosophy and science fiction, maybe not so science fiction, that we're kind of producing something that is smarter than us and we don't understand how it works. So a lot of people are scared, but to just calm everyone down, from my perspective, I think it's a threat that we need to take seriously, and I think brains are working on it to minimize it, and I hope it's gonna get solved, the issue. But from my perspective, what we have with ChatGPT, because AI is a broad term, but ChatGPT,
Notion.
Yeah, exactly. But what made the big hoo-ha about AI right now is ChatGPT and the fact that it broke the code of human language. So you don't have to code; you just need to know how to type. You go in and type, and you get your answers.
How to create the right prompts for ChatGPT.
Yeah, so that's a completely different skill set, and you can go deeper and deeper to how to understand how it works to get more exact responses. But even without that knowledge, and that's, by the way, that's one of the jobs for the future as well. Well, actually, right now as well. But right now, you don't need to have any type of skill set apart from knowledge of the language, and it has any language really, because you don't have to know English, and it's going to give you responses, and it's already great. So in that way, it's adaptable to anyone.
Based on what you just said, I can tell that you are familiar to the core with AI, at least on the theoretical level. But you mentioned before our interview started that you also use AI on a regular basis. May I ask you in what way?
Yeah, I mentioned it in the debate just now. The most common use case for me is if I need to research a subject. What I do is I find a lot of articles, and sometimes it's very long articles, and once I read through 50 pages, I figure out, nah, it was not exactly what I wanted to find. And I wasted 20 minutes, right, or an hour reading it. So what I do right now is I take a portion of it, or sometimes the whole article, I paste it into ChatGPT and I ask it, can you summarize it for me? And through these little bullet points, I can already, at the start, at the beginning of it, know if that's something I need to go through in detail and not. And it saves my time. Little bits and pieces like year ends or feedback times. I write feedbacks using it. Yeah. So, you know a person, you type in a prompt saying, can you please write a feedback for me saying that this person has done her job well, she's being recognized as an expert in her area, and you give it bullet points. You don't go into and take anything that it produces. You have to work with it. So, and it's important also for anyone else, if you get a response which is not really what you asked for, you ask for it to be restructured. You can tell it what to do. So ultimately, by cooperation with it, not just by handling everything to it, by cooperation you can get something that you want.
Well, I can tell that based on what you said, you can, well, using AI can be a cinch when you want to get something like an abstract or an overview from it. But let's say that I want to do something more complex. For example, I am a teacher and I wanted to make my lesson a bit more interesting because I'm feeling that the disciples are dying of boredom. Can I ask AI to make it more interesting, which we come into the more of a emotional aspects as well as quite vague, because what does it mean interesting, but I'm asking AI anyway to do it. Do you think is that possible?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, ChatGPT is able right now to write to you like if you tell it to respond to you in a matter of a 15-year-old with an attitude, it can do it.
Okay.
So it has these really wild capabilities already at the start of it, because AI and its capabilities is going to grow, and it's going to grow exponentially very quickly. But coming back to your question, yeah, I think so. So if I was a teacher and I had someone who is obviously very smart and is getting bored at the lessons because everyone else is a lower level, right? You can actually go in and ask ChatGPT, how can I improve my lessons? What a person who is highly skilled already, or more intelligent than the average, how can I reach that person? And it will give you at the beginning, it would give you a very broad kind of ideas. But if you work with it and go deeper, and ask it to use, let's say, this article as a base to give me information on how I can do this, you can. But what is important, and I always stress, is it's not about handling everything to it and just agreeing with everything that comes back. You need to work with it. And if the first answer doesn't help you, try second and third time and fourth time. So it definitely can. And you can tailor your message, you can tailor your teachings to given person.
I could talk about AI all day. Definitely, it was like a very insightful talk. Thank you so much for your time.